Alrighty folks, it's been like 3 years. I think it's time we finally dress up this pig. It's going to be a tremendous amount of work. I don't know how long this build series is going to be, but we're going to make it the way it should have been the first time. But we're going to do it right this time. Unfortunately, that means money, and that takes time. So it's that whole vicious cycle. We've got to get this car, in the way it sits right now, over to the new slab and the new carport. So we got to drag it over there because it doesn't run, because it's got seized bearings. Join us on this adventure. We'll pump the tires up, make it a little bit easier for it to drive because the oil cooler scrapes on the ground the way it is. The thing's covered in mold. It's got water in places it shouldn't be. The battery's all corroded now. It's like it's been underwater for 3 years.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna finish off the firewall and everything so it actually looks like a car, because it's kind of, I mean, it ran and drove, not with the body on it.
Yeah.
Well,
the curse was putting the Festiva body on it. It was great as a cart.
Yeah, it's just the Miata did great. That's okay.
We'll bring it back.
Yeah, better than ever. What was that?
So I was going to town and Leon's like, hey, you should probably film some of this. So we got a whole bunch of stuff pulled out, buckets and bins and harnesses and all sorts of stuff, but we still haven't taken the main engine harness out yet. I figured it'll be easier to do now than it is to deal with all the wire mess trying to get this thing out from underneath the car. So any of you who don't know, the whole car is sitting on top of a Miata subframe. So
Miata body, really?
Yeah, the whole floor of a Miata. But I know that the Miata subframes can come out without too much work. Got to disconnect some brakes and some other things, but essentially, like, everything you see down here and the bottom of the firewall, that's all still Miata stuff. So we should be able to take the bolts of the suspension out and basically drop it out from underneath. Now we don't have a lift, so we got to do some cribbing stuff, which is like lifting up one side, bracing it, lifting up the other, bracing it, and so on and so on. But we're going to go ahead, take the rest of the harness as much as we can, probably remove a bunch of the accessories and things too, because why not? They're just going to be in the way. So the homemade turbo manifolds
and everything, yeah.
But inside, it's pretty straightforward. Like, I just got to disconnect the shifter harness, crawl underneath of it, but we'll get to that when it's up in the air a bit. Everything else came out really simply because nothing was really bolted down or properly done. So between all 8 bolt seats, I had one bolt. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and take the rest of the harness off, and then we'll give you guys an update. Oh geez, it's all dark.
Oh, it is all dark. My bad, dude. It is recording.
I figured you just tell them what was up. I was gonna go wash my hands.
So Andrew actually did all the work. Proud of you.
Thanks, Dad.
All right, yeah. So everything is ripped out besides the engine.
The turbo.
Yeah. We should probably move that so if it rains, because it hasn't been getting wet the last couple years. Here's a big old pile of parts. Look how clean it is. I suppose my job can be cut all this out and put in some nice stuff. Gonna pull the shifter. We're gonna end up cutting the whole gas tank out.
Well, here we are again. It's been a couple days for me, but instant for you guys. So, if we look over here in the Festiva, you'll see that we are currently sitting on blocks and that there's no subframe in the car. So I removed the subframe with the engine and transmission installed and then lifted the car up really high. I'll show you some pictures here. And then scooted them over to the side. And then I separated the transmission from the engine. I haven't yet pulled the converter. I realized I should have done that with the transmission installed to stop it from spinning, but whatever, we'll get to it. So basically, my goal of today is to get the engine and transmission over in the little shed all the way on the other side of the property, and then get the subframe back up underneath the car, reattach the steering column so that I can at least move it around so that we can start welding up the firewall over at the other shed that has the welder in it. I still need to find some chains so I can hook up the motor to get it off of the subframe, but the goal currently right now is to get the torque converter out, so the starter's got to come out, and then I'll check back in with you guys. We got the transmission in the shed. What a disaster. We got the engine off the subframe. Funny enough, it rolls a lot easier now. Anyone that didn't see these earlier, this is like a universal bolt kit. This one was really loose apparently. I didn't loosen that yet. So the universal bolt kit mounts to the side of the block where the normal mounts are. And then we just have one bolt in each of them. Maybe we'll redo that, maybe we won't. I mean, we know it already fits, but maybe we'll tighten that one. Here's the engine in all its glory. I needed to remove the engine to take the starter out. It sounds like a North Star problem. But the reason was our mount goes right up against here, which actually always prevented us from using the dipstick tube. So this thing never had a dipstick in it for the last 3 years. Maybe how some of the water got in. Who knows? Could be anything at this point. Anyway, I needed to remove the engine so that we could get to the back of the starter bolt, so that I could remove the stuff, so I could remove the starter, so that I could get to the torque converter bolts. You're gonna love this part. Couple minutes later, so I got the starter off, and then I went to turn it over so that I could get it, you know, to where I could access it. And yeah, I forgot that I freaking seized this motor the last time we were there, so this doesn't turn. So now I gotta take them out bit by bit and pull the freaking thing off until it finally just falls off and makes a mess everywhere. Okay, so we got the torque converter off. What a disaster. Sitting on a block right now. Already detached the chain, so we are ready to do something really sketchy right now. This is the part where I want to ask, if no one's trying to stop you, is what you're doing really that bad? But of course, the follow-up to that is, if there's no one around to help you, can they really say no? Well, good news, we did it. It's also warmed up considerably here, which is wonderful. The sun's gonna make it a little bit difficult to see here, but we got the subframe back in. The steering column was the worst part. I had to disconnect it inside, pull it back out, and then slam it back down while the whole assembly went back up under place. So essentially there's 2 nuts that get captured on the underside of this for that side, 2 on that side, and then there's 2 down there and 2 down there. So 8 in total to remove the whole thing, plus you got your strut tower nuts to take out, 2 of them on each side, and the whole thing just falls out. So what's next? I think tomorrow we're going to be welding up some of the firewall, or at least cutting some templates to do it. I don't know how much cardboard I have for the CAD system, cardboard aided design, so that's going to be it for right now. I don't know how I'm going to move this thing yet. It's really heavy, and I don't want to disassemble it because there's nothing good inside of it. But hopefully you guys get to see the next episode soon, and I'll be in touch. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this episode about the LS Turbo Festiva, and I can't wait to see where it goes. Bye.